All right, so yeah, I finally put out Moonn on the Water. And wow, what a journey it has been. Where the fuck do I even start with this? I guess we can go back to the summer of 2015 when Brandon Wright suggested I watch Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, an anime about a Japanese rock band. And it was fucking brilliant. The story was great. It touched on a lot of the crap you have to deal with when you're in a band, and the music was surprisingly very good. I really liked the tracks Spice of Life, Hit in the USA, and of course, Moonn on the Water. In fact, I binge-watched the entire thing in about 3 days and said, hey, we should really cover Moonn on the Water. So, called up a few friends, put it together, released it, and got fucking annihilated online. I had the video up for about 7 hours and it collected 420 likes and 543 dislikes. That's a surefire indicator I fucked up somewhere. So what went wrong? First off, I was trying very hard to get everyone tracked before they went back to university, as I knew it would become mission fucking impossible to track it once everyone got back to school. So we rushed the production. And I missed one very important point. Never underestimate the difficulty of the source material. And the blame there rests solely on my shoulders. I definitely made a few production mistakes, and I tried to push things in the wrong way on a couple of occasions. Let's take a listen here.
What a fool, I don't know about tomorrow, what it's like to be.
Now, what's happening here is that the whole thing seems to drag just a bit and the vocalists aren't syncing up right. This is supposed to be a duet. Now, the smart thing would have been to put them in the same room and have them sing it together and maybe practice that a few times together. But scheduling being the way it was, you can only do so much. So we tracked it like that. We tracked it separately and we got that. But I do have to give kudos to both the vocalists, as there wasn't any auto-tune going on, so good job there. I also tried miking up my angle cab instead of my usual mesa, and in this case the guitars really didn't have the clarity that the song needed. Now, the mix wasn't horrible, not by a long shot. The worst part about it was the video we shot for it.
What a fool, I don't know about tomorrow, what it's like to be.
Everybody just looked awkward and, quite frankly, uncomfortable. Okay, once again, my fault, I can freely admit that. And we released the song and everybody went apeshit. And that's fine, we can all use a reality check from time to time, myself included. However, there was some actual constructive criticism in there too, and that's great, I really appreciate that. The one that struck me the hardest was, we were expecting another Eagle Has Landed. And I thought about that for a while and decided to pull the song because it was time for a rethink. Now, what was very cool was that Joey Sturgis, A.L. Levi, and Joel Wanasak brought me in on their podcast to discuss the whole situation. And the general consensus from those guys that the mix was decent, but the video was terrible, and the viewers kind of latched onto it and just fired away. Now, that's absolutely fine. We are a visual species, and human perception being what it is, people often mistake what they see for what they hear. Sound engineers do it all the time. And I've got some videos coming up that will demonstrate how what we're seeing isn't what we're hearing. Believe me, those are going to be some very interesting videos. Anyway, once that was all done, I did a little digging, and it turns out that there are numerous versions of Moonn on the Water. What we used for our jumping off point was the English dub version. That was the duet between the characters Maho and Kyuki. And that was the wrong version to use. It was not a clean recording, the tempo was off in spots, and it was not very tight. So when we released our version, I figured, okay, anyone who's a fan of the show will get this. It's a little sloppy, but consider the source. And of course, that never happened. After I pulled down the video, I found the original by Beat Crusaders, and I'm like, damn, this has so much more life. What is going on here? So I played around with it and realized that it was actually tuned up half a step higher. And this is where it gets interesting from a production standpoint. Finding the proper key for the song. The first version, we were tuned down a half step because we were following the English dub duet version. But by playing at standard tuning, it made two fundamental changes. First, it would be easier to sing, and second, it opened up an entire bottom octave and that meant we could now play drop A 7 strings in the heavy section.
What a fool, don't know about tomorrow, what it's like to be out.
And there was one more fundamental change. I sped the song up by a few BPM as I didn't want that dragging feel again. I wanted everything to be snappy. So with that comment about wanting another Eagle Has Landed in my mind, I figured I'd better get the best musicians I could find. So I called up John Serio, who did a brilliant job on the acoustic, and said, okay, let's give it another shot, but let's make sure we've got it. I also brought in Mr. Kristler Fenske, who's appeared on numerous demos on the channel here. He is an absolutely magnificent guitar player. And with the two of those guys, we did take after take on the acoustics until we finally got it right. I had also met Keith Wilkinson by this time, and I brought him in to play bass. You prog metal fans might remember Keith from Pomegranate Tiger. He's just an amazing player. He played 6-string bass on the heavies, 4-string fretless in the verses, and contrabass as well. Garrett Peters, being the gentleman that he is, signed on to play one of the leads, and of course we had my very good friend TJ Dowhaniak on the drums. At this point, I pretty much excused myself from performing on the song as the people playing it could handle it, and I just wanted to concentrate on making the best recording I possibly could. Now, for vocals, I was initially planning on bringing Bailey Soulier back in, but she sort of lost interest on the project, so I asked my very good friend Jeff Klingbeil, formerly of Betrayer, to try singing. Jeff came in and laid down some tracks, and he is one of the best singers I've ever had in my studio. And it did look like we were going to go in that direction until I went to NAMM in January and met Siegfried. We were hanging out one night at Alex Nasla's after the show, and I was doing a collaboration video with Trey Xavier from Gear God. Check his channel out, it's awesome. Alex was there, Robert Rosen from Rosen Digital was also there. Check out his cab pulses, they're fucking amazing. And there was this other guy sitting on the couch who was very quiet. And I'm like, hey Alex, who's your buddy? And Alex is like, oh, that's Siegfried. You should really hear him sing. So they put on a few of Siegfried's recorded and proceeded to blow my mind. I mean, like, I was like, damn, dude, do you want to sing on this? Because I think you've got the perfect voice. So one thing leads to another, and Siegfried actually tracked the vocals in Korea through his Microtech Geffel mic. The first time I heard him sing this, it made my freaking hair stand on end, and that just does not happen to me anymore. When I got his tracks, however, I learned a whole new definition of the word dynamic, because man, his quiet parts are very fucking quiet. Thankfully, we've got 24 bits. Fortunately, I was able to run his tracks through the IGS RB500 EQ and the Ultra 500 compressor, which got things under control and really added a nice, slick vibe to the vocals. Now, with work and school schedules being what they are, not to mention doing 3 videos a week for the channel, I have been plugging away at this song whenever I could for the last 8 months or so. Because not only did we have to record, we had to get video. So believe me, this one turned out to be the 9-headed beast from hell. I think we cut the drums twice. TJ brought in this really nice swinging feel on his second time around, and we got a great vibe. Drum miking was pretty much my standard setup these days, which is the D6 on a kick, 421 on the toms, Octava overheads, cheap Chinese ribbons on the room, and a dual mic setup on the snare top, an SM57, and a Studio Project C4, which really adds to that snappy attack. Kristler Fenske came up with some exceptionally cool rhythm parts for the heavy section, and there's some nice runs and some great pinch harmonics on the third chorus especially. For the tones, we used a Rev Generator 120 and the Mesa cabinet into a single 57 for the heavy guitars. Acoustics were a combination of a single Octava MCO12 and direct, which we panned to opposite sides. Bass was direct into the new 2 notes La Bass, and look for a review on that soon. And for processing of the mix, we used a great deal of Slate plugins, most notably the new Blue Series 76 modern compressor on the drums. Very amazing stuff. So, needless to say, this track wound up taking insanely longer than expected. I knew the expectations were through the roof, so I pushed myself until I got it right. It sucked to get all that negative feedback last summer when we first released it, but then again, the end product the second time around turned out better than I could have possibly hoped. My hat is off to everyone who participated. You guys were spectacular. Now, just to make things interesting, I'm going to put up the original mix in a couple of days because I know a lot of you guys are curious about it. But I'm just going to do it with the lyrics because nobody ever needs to see that video again. And I'm going to use the song for a starter with my How to Mix Heavy Drum series because I've already got a few requests about how I mix the track. If you guys like, I could also do a full mix breakdown video as well and get into a lot more detail on how all the tracks fit together. For this video here, I just wanted to talk about how the track was actually made from a production standpoint. Anyway, we might, as a group, wind up doing a few more anime covers as we've been kicking around a few ideas. We've got some fabulous musicians here, and we should probably do some more stuff together. Does anyone out there know anyone who can do rap metal vocals? Because Spice of Life might be a possibility. But I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching. I am grateful y'all liked the track. It was definitely worth the effort. See you next time.